So 5 FNP board exam mistakes that could cost you some points or cause you to fail the FNP board exam. Number 1, not knowing about the blueprint of the exam. If you are taking the AANP FNP board exam or the ANCC FNP board exam, you need to go to the websites and download your blueprint. The blueprints will tell you everything you need to know as far as the exam, meaning it will tell you what percentage of each section where that is going to be covered in the exam. So you cannot go around with that. People are studying the dark because a lot of times I meet students, and that's what I've noticed, they're studying the dark. So you want to make sure that you download the blueprint from either of the exams before you even start studying. Then the next question, number 2, the mistake number 2 is you are practicing questions just to get a score. Oh my goodness, you got 60% the other time, you got 70% that time, you got 80% that. It's not about that. It's about understanding, why the answer was correct, why the answer was wrong. In that way, you are building on your knowledge. Because as you get into the exam hall, the exam is more about clinical reasoning. So it's not just about the content, or it's not about memorization. Because when it comes to the practice questions, I see people complain a lot about, I took a course and then I did all these questions, but then when I went to the exam, I didn't see a single question about the topics that I did. No, it's not about that. You might have done the topics in your review courses, but chances are it's presented in a different way. So that's why it's good to know, have your clinical reasoning. Of course, that's the same clinical reasoning you are going to use when you get a job, right, as an MP. So it's good to make sure that you are using that. So always know that when you are practicing questions, you are not just memorizing. You are basing your practice on clinical reasoning so that you'll be able to pass your exam. Mistake number 3 is ignoring the buzzwords. MP exam, they have a whole language of its own, right? That's like a shorthand to understanding questions. If you know the buzzwords, you'll know the answer, in my opinion, because the buzzword will lead you to the answer, because they will describe it, use the special words or strawberry tongue, a hair patch, and then immediately in your mind you're saying, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about, right? But if you don't know those, then it will be very hard for you, because a lot of times people are only depending on the textbooks. But in the school, it's true, it's a lot of work going through MP school. I've been there, done that. It's a lot. Not talk about the stress from family, the stress from job, your work, stress from clinicals. But what I see most is that when people are not learning the buzzwords, then that becomes a problem, because again, you go into the exam and then they put a word out that you have never heard before, then you draw a blank. So even though you are very intelligent, you know the material, you get confused. So always remember that you need to know the buzzwords before you get into that hole. Waiting until you are ready to practice, use the practice questions. People say, no, I'm studying for 3 months, but no, let me wait till when I'm ready to do practice the questions. No, you cannot do that, right? You want to maybe start at the beginning. Just go ahead. You have a question bank. Go ahead and practice the questions. Then after that, it will even provide you a blueprint with what you need to learn, what you need to concentrate on, right? Then as you are in the middle of your training, let's say you're reading. Let's say you are taking 3 months to study. 3 months to practice, to start before you take the FNP board exam. After you have been studying sooner, even before you start, go ahead and do a practice exam. So that will guide you as far as, oh, this is what you are missing. By the time you do the middle part, like maybe a month and a half, you do another one. Meaning, I'm talking full length exams, so not just one question here, one question, maybe you have 200 questions, 250, sit down and do it at time you say, because you are kind of simulating the exam, right? So then as you are practicing from there, you can have your week journal. In fact, I used to have that. I love that, because if certain questions that I keep missing them and the topics, I will write it down, I'm sure you guys, you can use your computer to do that, but I used to have a read journal that I just write it on a little notebook. So if I'm studying under endocrine system and I'm having a lot of these questions that I missed there, I'll write them down so that I'll go back and go over what I've, why I'm missing them. In fact, go and understand better what is going on. So you might want to make sure you don't wait too long to start practicing on the practice questions. Mistake number 5 that people mess up a lot is that not having a system, not having a framework, not having what to study next. Today they're doing something on the cardiovascular system. Tomorrow they'll go to endocrine. The next day they'll go to musculoskeletal system. The next day they're going to digestive, that kind of thing. Or the same day they are doing all those systems. You could easily get confused doing that. So it's good to just concentrate and say, okay, today this is what I'm going to do. For these 2 hours or this 1 hour, I'm doing this. For the next day, I'm doing that. I read this section here, and then at this time here, I will do the practice question. I will do this here, and then I'll practice the questions. Don't just be studying all over the place, because then that's a good, in my opinion, anyway, that's a good way to get yourself confused. So, but now if you want to start studying smarter, go ahead and download my free guide, which is known as FNP Board Exam Pattern Recognition Starter Kit. So go ahead and download that, and then, from my website. And don't forget to subscribe, because you will have dropped some really good FNP board reviews, tips, and everything. So go ahead and subscribe, share this video, leave your comments down below. If there's a topic that you want us to talk about, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Thank you, and see you in the next video.